stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection out of the servicemen and women who place themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety at home and overseas. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting as written and recorded in the official minute book of the township.
I'll make that motion.
You have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote. We are just short Commissioner Cobb. We are expecting him. And a couple announcements this evening before we get into the meat of the agenda. The Board of Commissioners conducted an executive session as part of its August 11th, 2025 workshop meeting to discuss one real estate matter. Also, as part of this evening's business meeting, the Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing on a proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 114 of zoning of the Code of the Township of Springfield. Purpose of the proposed ordinance is to add a new single article 14B, small wireless facilities, to regulate the placement of such facilities within Springfield Township. Any questions or comments related to the proposed ordinance should be held until the public hearing is conducted. So that is our second item on the agenda this evening. So any comments on that could be specifically during that public hearing. Also announcement regarding immigration enforcement. The Board of Commissioners understands that there are questions and concerns about the role of the Springfield Township Police Department when it comes to immigration enforcement. The board and the Springfield Township Police Department would like to clarify what our local police department does and what does not do regarding this matter. The Springfield Township Police Department does serve all residents of Springfield Township regardless of immigration status, enforce local and state laws to ensure public safety for all members of our community, investigate crimes and work to protect victims and witnesses regardless of their immigration status. Springfield Township Police Department does not do the following: enforce federal immigration laws. Immigration enforcement is the sole responsibility of the federal government. Does not inquire about an individual's immigration status during routine policing activities. Does not conduct immigration enforcement actions or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status. Does not provide personal information to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement unless required by a judicial warrant or subpoena, and does not honor detainer requests from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement without an executed judicial warrant. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. Local police departments are not required to enforce federal immigration laws unless they have a formal agreement to do so. Springfield Township Police Department has no such agreement and does not intend to enter into any such agreement in the future. The police department remains focused on its mission of serving and protecting all members of the Springfield Township community. If you or someone you know have questions about immigration status or need assistance with immigration-related matters, you are encouraged to contact a qualified legal professional or the Pennsylvania Immigration Resource Center. And that contact info, phone number is 717-600-8099, or visit them online at pirclaw.org. This information that I just shared will be part of a township announcement that will be put out to the email distribution list, also available on our website for the township. And I believe Commissioner Ratzman, you wanted to make some comments?
I did. Thank you. We had some residents come on Monday and ask us our take and position, and we knew that we would be making that statement, but I wanted to add a little bit to it. I do understand and see and hear and am experiencing all that they also experience, from local raids to reports across the country of actions at the federal level that is concerning or frightening. It's obvious to me, and for those for whom it is not, what a privilege it would be, and also what a sad view of humanity it might be. Even the casual use of the word raid implies something dehumanizing in the approach that anyone would raid or go wholesale to communities. As far as I know, mostly communities of color, and forward attack them like militant enemies. It's a dangerous concept that is getting normalized. We're talking about a new world where people are being accosted and detained with no due process and very little power to fight it, where justice depends on a system many of us distrust to equitably give for a number of valid historical and recent reasons. The most being that legal justice oftentimes costs dollars. And in our society, it's also wrought with legal decorum, expected by many who have the privilege to rarely consider it. Humanity does not require decorum, and living existence shouldn't depend on whether you have enough resources to fight systems, enough knowledge to follow administrative tasks perfectly. The information we share tonight is reflective of department policies. We will continue to follow the law, protect the concept of due process, which requires a signed judicial warrant to approach and detain a specified person. Anything otherwise, in my view, is a reportable event, and our police department will continue to be appropriately responsive. Of course, we should care about defending the Constitution, but more than that, I wanted to reassert and continue to defend the concept of community care. Be prepared to act in defense of your neighbor for all sorts of reasons, in the ways that work for you and your family. Do not feel guilty if you don't feel prepared to act, and understand that it is this collective uncertainty that makes it feel like a little bit of complicity, the disappearance of individuals. There will be nothing to erase that complicity, which is a feeling I often carry. And for those who may not, and for those for whom this message may not resonate, I worry if you don't hear or feel the gravity of the weight people are carrying, both those who feel at personal risk just trying to live their daily life, as well as their many citizen allies who are racked because they feel they are not doing enough to protect our community members. Many, many people are presently emotionally immobilized to act, immobilized by fear, immobilized by the real and perceived limits of an authoritarian system. And if you cannot read the news and experience this and the feelings and fears our neighbors came to express on Monday, I urge you to consider why. I urge you at home and at the ballot box to remind yourself not just of the duty to the Constitution, but duty to our fellow humans and the humanity of community care. This world where immigration status could possibly be relevant to living in our community feels no different and is no different than one where skin color is relevant to living in our community, which is unjust and inhumane to me. To our immigrant friends and neighbors and any family who has ever had immigration affect their life, and that really should be everyone, you may not hear this because this is not the place where you may find your sense of community today. But you're still welcome here in this township, in this country, and any indication otherwise is a bigger problem the majority of us in Springfield want to change on a grander scale than this 6 square mile of this township. But be assured, we will keep working on it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. It's online. Great. Welcome to those that you are watching through streaming. Thank you for being here. The board is now open to questions or comments from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment on an agenda item, now would be the appropriate time, with the exception of if you have questions or comments on the wireless cell ordinance. We have a special spot for that in the not too distant future. It's the second item on our agenda. And because it's an ordinance, it's its own special open meeting. So it's all wrapped up. So otherwise, any other comments or public questions? When you come to the microphone, please state your name and address.
Judy Patitucci, 101 East Wissahickon Avenue, Flowertown. I don't know if I pulled up the wrong meeting. I hope this is on tonight's agenda. I live near the ballpark, so I did win a tree last spring, and I try to put trees in when trees fall because there's a lot of things going on with deer. So I want the kids to be safe in the ballpark, and I don't know where they're going to put the wireless stuff, but I just thought I'd bring to the attention that we're having a real severe deer problem behind the ballpark. I don't know what the answer is right now. I had some deterrents and we're getting bigger deer and more deer. I mean, one time I looked outside and it was like rawhide going through the ballpark when the leaves were down. And I've noticed that a lot of the trees just in 2 or 3 weeks, they're dead now. and the grass is drying up there. So I don't know if that was on the agenda this time or the last time, but I thought I'd bring it to your attention. I might be leaving early. I might not stay for the wireless thing. So I just thought I'd bring it to your attention. You can use my property if I'm home to take some trees down. You're more than welcome. I didn't put any other buildings up for that reason. My gardener in New York was with Audubon and with Pete Seeger back 50, 60 years ago. So I'm pro-green, but I want to be safe. Okay?
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Start with my report. This is regarding North Hills Country Club and the request for fireworks. I move that the Board of Commissioners waive section 3303.1 of the Springfield Township Fire Prevention Code in order that the North Hills Country Club may conduct a professional fireworks display on Sunday evening, August 31st, 2025 at approximately 8:15 p.m. as part of the club's annual Labor Day celebration. The approval is conditioned upon the following. One, the pyrotechnical firm in North Hills Country Club shall add Springfield Township as an additional insured on their certificates of insurance for the event. And two, the pyrotechnical firm in the North Hills Country Club shall work closely with the Springfield Township Fire Marshal and Orland Fire Company to help prevent an accident and to create a plan of action in the event that an accident does occur during the activity. That is my motion. Do we have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote. Okay, at this time, I would accept a motion to suspend the August 13th, 2025 business meeting, of the Board of Commissioners, and convene a public hearing on the proposed ordinance to amend chapter 114 zoning of the code of the Township of Springfield. So that is my motion. Is there a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote. Okay. So that meeting is closed. We have a new meeting. Ooh. First, a little bit of reading, and then we'll open the floor for any questions or comments. Purpose of the hearing. The public hearing is being held in compliance with section 609 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code to consider zoning code text amendments to regulate the placement of small cell wireless communication facilities within Springfield Township. The legal requirements associated with the public hearing have been met by publishing a notice of the public hearing in the July 20th and 27th, 2025 issues of the Ambler Gazette. In addition, public hearing notices were posted in the Township Building and Library and on the Township website. Copies of the full text ordinance were available in the Township Building, the Library, the offices of Montgomery Publishing, the Montgomery County Law Library, and the Township website. In summary, the proposed ordinance amends Code of the Township of Springfield, Chapter 114 zoning by adding Article 14-B entitled Small Wireless Communication Facilities to include Section 114-14B149 .1, which purpose Section 114-14B149 .2 definitions, Section 114-14B149.3 applicability, Section 114-14B149.4 small wireless facilities within the public rights of way, and Sections 114-14B149.5 violations and penalties. Regarding the Planning Commission reviews. In a letter dated June 20th, 2025, Springfield Township Planning Commission discussed the proposed ordinance at their meeting of June 17th, 2025, and voted unanimously to recommend enactment of the ordinance subject to review of the definitions section by the Township Solicitor. Under a cover letter of June 12th, 2025, Montgomery County Planning Commission provided a review of the ordinance. County recommended enactment of the ordinance subject to a review of the definitions section to ensure that no conflicts are created for certain terms that appear in both the proposed new article as well as the definitions section of the existing zoning ordinance. The Board of Commissioners is holding a public hearing on the zoning code text amendments and may call for a vote. So first, we will take questions from board members. Second, we will take questions from those in the audience. Third, we will take testimony from the board. And fourth, we will take testimony from those in the audience. And then when we go back into our regular meeting, we'll conduct a vote on passing the ordinance. So at this time, we'll open up to questions from board members. Just questions.
More that on Monday, Commissioner Wilson mentioned an insurance query, which I thought was fair. And we also talked about allowing Historic Commission to have a say. Could we, at a later date, amend to consider those issues?
We will go on the books and believe that this struggle to the board in that regard.
Your language is there.
It's on them.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, we'll now open up for questions for those in the audience.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name's John English. I live at 603 Bradford Road, right at the intersection of Bergen and Bradford. If you're in front of my house, you'd see a big giant green light post, probably prime real estate for a cell tower. Unfortunately, it's about 60 feet from my bedroom. It's a little concerning to me. But I'd like to start off with a couple topics tonight. I'm talking about the American Academy of Pediatrics. They warned against, I knew that was going to happen. They warned against dismissing potential long-term cumulative exposure. The AAP explicitly supports more research, stating that the FCC standards don't account for child vulnerability, and advocating for repeat reassessment for the guidelines for small cells. All research seems to point to one thing. It's cumulative exposure. So I ask you this: if we have, if a company applies, a communication company applies for a permit, the permit's approved. And if I may have read this wrong, I'm not sure, that's up to 20 cells under the one application?
You can have more than one cell on an
Yeah,
application.
he's saying up to 20.
Up to 20.
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
Okay, up to 20.
I think the one that we received that was not current, but that was 12. 12 under the one permit
Okay,
application.
yeah. And I also read about some safety precautions that were taken, as far as where they could be placed away from sightways and driveways, obviously. But I didn't see anything in this ordinance about spacing. And that seems to be the major concern as far as the health experts are concerned, is spacing. It's cumulative. Is there anything in the ordinance that'll stop, let's say, a company from putting 3 or 4 on one block?
No. Well, other than the engineering that they have to perform and submit to.
But other than that, there's really no,
Yeah, that's sort of out of our hands.
okay.
But I guess the only other thing I would say to that is, sort of maybe, unless they're different companies, but I don't see a need for for a cell phone company to have 3, towers in one short span. I think one tower would cover that block. Right?
Well, I would believe that there are different companies competing for different space and different broadband.
Then that may be.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some dimensional stuff in there, like you couldn't be within a certain distance from a driveway, for example.
Yes,
There's some
Yeah.
things like that we could control, but to Mike's point, this ordinance does not open up the allowability of these things. That already exists. We can't stop them from being public right away.
Mhm.
This is actually helping us be a little more restrictive from what the state and the federal government has already mandated.
Okay, but that is a possibility then, the cluster and cumulative is, I'm sure we all done our homework on this and we know what I'm talking about as far as long-term exposure, cumulative long-term exposure. All right, so then we're going to move in. I'd like to ask a question about there's a lot of precautions around the public health, and I know your authority is very limited on, you actually removing the towers. But there is a clause in there, and that clause is the public safety clause or the public welfare clause. My question is, would the public, if you can clarify whether that could include RF related concerns? So in other words, there's credible evidence that, okay, well, these studies have been done now, and there's credible evidence that these kids are getting headaches, or I'm getting a headache, or whatever it might be. I would imagine when it says you can remove these towers for public safety, that would be included in that.
It's my understanding that the health aspect of all of this falls within the purview of the FCC under the Federal Telecommunications Acts. And so I think the local governments are hamstrung in terms of regulating the health issues, and the regulations that local governments are permitted to enforce are more along the lines of what you see here in the ordinance with respect to placement next to driveways and access drives and those sorts of public safety issues.
Okay.
And the ordinance does require that when an applicant comes in, they have to demonstrate compliance with all FCC regulations.
Mhm.
It's my understanding that would include whatever applicable health safety standards are in place at the federal level. They have to show that they comply with that in order to install something here.
At that time, yeah, but we're talking,
At
a
that
couple
time.
years down the road when
Correct.
children's, brains and heads are much different than ours. And they absorb radiation very different than ours. And I think what they're understanding is that the FCC's regulations are based on an adult. Not the little baby in the house that's going to spend, 8 years at this school and 4 years at the next. And that's a lot of exposure. I really wish there could be something that done, preventive. So, about the clustering, but I guess that's not going to happen. And as far as the safety issue, I'd like you to reword that. I think it's very misleading to the public in the ordinance. It says for safety, for public safety concerns. And to me, if there was a report released later on in the studies that significantly said, this is because of this. Doesn't have to happen in this township. Could happen anywhere. But what I'm saying is that's something I would think you would need to reword, because it's misleading, is what it is. I felt comfort in that when I read it. I go, okay, so something, people are getting dizzy, getting headaches, and these whole slew of other results of the towers. Then you guys would be able to remove it, but apparently that's not the case. So can you understand how, that may seem misleading?
Yeah, I understand it. I get what you're saying. I think there's a lot of those things that are like that. I mean, there's probably something in our code that we are allowed to close down a road or clear it for public safety, but we say you can't drive your car here because of emissions, because you're gonna get cancer from carcinogens. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It specifically says health, though. If it's the public health. So I don't know if that means that, it has to fall on you. Maybe, I'm not sure. Is it like a cut and paste ordinance? Nobody seems to be engaging here.
No,
I'm not
it's not a
sure.
cut and paste ordinance.
Okay,
No.
all right. So
Doesn't mean
do you have the authority to put anything in place that'll have kind of preventive measures from the clustering?
No, I think there's a possibility that you would run afoul of the federal regulations related to the public health issues that you're talking about.
Okay.
I guess the statement I would say is, could a creative lawyer fashion a lawsuit against the FCC?
Well,
you know,
Go luck with that one, right?
and I hear you, and I understand your concern because.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's, that is a concern. And I thought spacing is a concern too. I mean, spacing's, I think is going to be problematic in the future. Just putting that out there. I'm not anti-technology. I just believe in getting it right the first time. And this is really the last chance before we can.
But I guess if should it be deemed unsafe for any reason, I think the theory is that we would expect it to come down as well. I think that's what the language here allows for as well.
Yes,
So
that's my
so
concern.
Should this, hypothetical lawsuit prevail theoretically
Oh,
at one avenue or any other avenue that something is deemed unsafe at a federal level. Otherwise, to the solicitor's point, we can't make that call here.
Is it possible to assume that the FCC regulations around this will evolve as the research shifts, right? To your point, and I can't speak to it exactly, but around maybe most of the research being adult focused, right? And less research being on the adolescent, the child, right? It's my understanding of the cumulative impact, right, is that it's the exposure to small cell power and also the earbuds and like a multitude of things. And until they can really specify, right, what parts are having what impact, they're considering it cumulative, and we do have responsibility to live it where we can, so I meet you there, I appreciate that. But I think as the research evolves, I think then the FCC regulations would evolve and we would follow.
mhm.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's accurate.
I mean, it's relatively new technology, so it's hard to know what's going to be down the road. No, but clustering, the way I see it, is that thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, why I'm here tonight, because if I woke up Saturday morning and I see somebody on a utility pole out front of my house putting this thing on the top, and that's, we'll get back to that. That's more of a transparency issue I'm a little upset with. And some other facts that really haven't been addressed is property value. Has anyone did any research on that? On how it drops property values? This is the National Institute, I'm sorry, the National Institute for Science, Law, and Public Policy. This is from them. Visible infrastructure such as small cells reduce home values. 79% of buyers are less likely to buy a house near a small cell. Price drops anywhere from 2 to 20% are possible. Placement alone can harm perception. But it seems like the draft is silent on that. I mean, if in the event that happens, where's my recourse? Do I?
Deny what's mandated by the state, just say that we don't want it near this house or that house.
Well, I'm more
there's a
concerned
problem.
about what's coming out of my
There's a
pocket
mechanism
than I
for
am
us.
mandates. I mean, you guys are supposed to be in the driver's seat of this thing.
I think the problem today is that even without this ordinance, these small wireless facilities can go in the right of way under the state law.
Mhm.
This ordinance is just memorializing that, but also adding additional regulations that the state act allows the township to impose.
Mhm.
So we've been mandated, the township's been mandated, and all local governments in Pennsylvania have been mandated to permit these facilities by right in the right of way.
Mhm.
So there's nothing that can be done with respect to that.
Okay.
Everything in
And we
this
have to do
ordinance.
that today. If a permit came in today, even if this ordinance didn't pass, it
Sure.
have to be allowed.
Yeah.
So this ordinance is just putting something in place, but also taking advantage of some additional regulations that have been authorized under that state act.
Yeah, to Andy's point, we're taking advantage of the further restrictions and the fees that we can charge the applicant. That we can't do that right now without this in place. So this doesn't open up anything. In fact, it restricts what's already allowed.
It doesn't seem like there's much restriction now. They kind of trump all ordinances, don't they? From how I read it.
Well, it's a specific ordinance for small wireless.
Yeah.
So it just covers the one topic. It doesn't cover, your cell tower or facilities that might be located outside of the right of way. This is a very specific ordinance only to small wireless facilities in the public right of way.
Okay.
So yes, it's very, very narrow.
I did have some questions. We can save it for another time if you like, but as far as transparency, you guys did not do a great job at that. And just let me tell you why. It was anytime I reached out to the township, I got a response. Don't get me wrong. Mike Tyler is very helpful. But it seemed like one hoop after another. I mean, if this started August, was what? May 12th was the first.
May was the first time it was on a commissioner's agenda.
Yes, the commissioner's agenda. And I caught wind of it. It was like, I just caught eye. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go check this out. It was on there the 14th in May. Just, basic one-liner, nothing saying this is what it is. Not the average person doesn't know what a zoning amendment is, or what was the specific zoning amendment? It was what was it called? The what zoning amendment?
Amusement device and.
No, tonight, isn't it a specific zoning?
This one here,
Yeah.
small cell wireless communication.
Yeah, but isn't it a something ordinance? I'll get back to you on that. It's titled something else, which made it a little more confusing.
Public hearing, small cell wireless communication facilities.
I'll have to look for it. Okay, so we'll get back to that. I'm gonna get too off track here. Take too much of your time. So you have May 12th and May 14th when you were saying that they were made available. Then June 11th or June 9th, there was nothing available mentioning small cell wireless on the agenda.
Commissioners meetings?
Yeah.
No, it went to, at the May meeting, it was authorized for advertisement
Hmm.
and it was sent to the planning commission.
Okay.
Planning commission had a meeting in June
Hmm.
where they discussed it and it was publicly advertised at that meeting, along with an agenda and the sample ordinance, just as it was at the May meeting. In June, the planning commission met and made a recommendation, was referred to the Board of Commissioners. At the July meeting of the Board of Commissioners, the board authorized the advertisement of a public hearing, which was done again, and the ordinance was advertised again. The public hearing was then advertised in the paper as well as our website, and that brings us to tonight.
The zoning text amendment.
Zoning text amendment.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay,
referring to.
well-
Yeah, it was just, yeah, okay. So in May, it was advertised, twice, May 9th. I know, then it went to another department. Just imagine me, I'm a resident. So I'm looking for them, trying to find this. So the next meeting, in June 9th, June 11th, you're telling me it was in another department. Like, so where do I go? Do I got to look through another departments to find it? And just hear me out. And I'm not trying to get off course here, sound sarcastic, just being really realistic. Then you have July 9th and July 7th. And ironically, May 12th and May 14th, I go back. Okay, let's see anything on this. There's no videos from the meeting. Like a week and a half. There's no videos. That's not transparency. That's not accessibility. And the little information I did find was an attached packet. And that attached packet just had, all legal jargon. How am I supposed to figure it out? I mean, once I get my teeth in something, me personally, I can't let go, unless I get an answer. And that it wasn't. I mean, the whole thing, transparency wise, to me, I think,
Did you reach out to someone? And get
I did, Jim. I emailed the whole board.
When? In May and June, you're talking about?
Commissioner Morris, I sent him an email. He was kind enough to come over and say hello to me at the Acme. Said, hey, I recognize you. I like that. It was just a nice gesture. So then I said, yeah, I'll email Commissioner Morris. I'm not sure if it was because I emailed Commissioner Morris, but then the meetings eventually popped back up. I was told by Mike Taylor that the meetings, what happened was they may not have linked with YouTube, but if I would have went to the YouTube channel, all right, now I'm going to go to YouTube and look for meetings. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, how long are we talking here? It's not a lot of time. And the importance of this issue, let the citizens fight it. I mean, I'll give you some advice. If I was sitting in your chair and you're celebrating this, you think, oh, this is a great thing. This is awesome. Celebrate it. If 5G is coming to Springfield, here's everything you need to know about it. Well, I don't want this. I don't want that. Well, you better contact your local, state representative. Give us some time to prepare. Now you can't. It's already signed. It's done. Nobody cares. But it's annoying, if anything. That's all I'm saying. It's just you need to be a little more open with your agendas and your yeah,
Are you
ordinances.
suggesting that 4 months is too short?
No, Jim, I'm suggesting that on May 12th, I couldn't look at anything. Then I'm suggesting that on June 11th and 9th, there was nothing on the commissioner's page that I go to for the meetings. That's what I'm suggesting.
You're suggesting the video because.
The videos weren't there because I watch videos. I don't come to the meetings.
Were there, correct?
No, I don't even think they were there. They were, how could they? Oh, okay. They were there without the,
Potentially. I still believe that the video link was there, but I'll accept that it wasn't because.
okay, well, I can go back. I can find an email I sent to Commissioner Morris and then we can kind of investigate it that way. You don't need to defend yourselves. All right. I'm not looking for that. You're dancing.
Where there's things, there's a lot of legal jargon around, and there could be maybe a less jargony description for residents, which I know sometimes I would appreciate it too, so I appreciate that. I can take that suggestion.
I think what would be helpful, and I think what I hear you saying, if I weren't here, I wouldn't necessarily understand the flow of the process and how the system,
Mhm.
I think we have a better understanding of it because, so, and this is maybe something I can help with, but maybe a primer on how ordinances get passed and where to look for it, that we can post publicly so people understand where to find it and follow.
Can I say something on that?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually, I can just finish up and.
I
let you
just
go.
wanted to say something about the transparency part, like.
Come on to the microphone, please.
Okay,
Uh,
sorry, I'm Cindy. I live in Winmore, and my feeling is when it's a public health issue that can affect my family, that I want a letter to my house. I deleted Facebook, I deleted Instagram because I have teenagers and I don't want them to see me on it all the time. I do have like the thing I can go on from my website, but I mean, like from just a browser, but I try not to be on that. So I missed like a lot of this stuff. I don't go on to your website to see what's going on as much as I should, but I, as a township resident, would like to, if something it could affect my health and my family's health, I feel that this is being rushed through. I feel that we should have all gotten a letter. There are residents that aren't on social media that don't go to the library, that don't go to the website. I don't think it's fair that they didn't get a literal letter to their address, letting them know what could be going on in the township and that it could affect them. I don't let my kids sleep with cell phones in the room. There's a reason for that, because I don't want them, well, number one, on it, but also I've read a lot about what the effects of having that around you all the time can be. I purposely didn't buy a house when I was house hunting near towers. Now I could have one very close to my house, and I had no idea about that. And luckily I found out through John, and I just kind of was able to pop in here tonight to say this. I have other stuff to say, but she needed to go first, and I just
was hoping
wanted to
to
say that.
interject there as well, just as a point of clarification, and Mr. Frymouth has brought it up. This ordinance is not a welcome 5G to the neighborhood ordinance. It's not to allow 5G to come in or any of these small cell wireless facilities. They are allowed. And what we're doing here is trying to control it to the extent that we can, in accordance with federal law. So that it's not to start bringing it in. It could be coming in here all this time.
I still don't like, I feel like, it's kind of blindsided for me as a resident, like not knowing anything about this, if it's going to be on my block or where it's going to be. And I think that that's where residents need to be more aware, made so that, I have no idea where these things are going.
But this board's not doing that. It came from the state legislature already, is what Commissioner May is saying and what we've been saying.
So
This
you,
board's not permitting them there. We're just regulating them because they've already been mandated to be placed in the right of way by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay, but under the, as far as regulating, what are we regulating? Where they're going?
No, like you have to submit a permit, not where they're going. They can go in the right of way, anywhere, okay? On an existing telephone pole,
Mhm.
okay? Or on a pole that replaces an existing telephone pole, or on a new telephone pole if the wireless provider can prove that they can't go on an existing pole.
So you have no say on where they're going or anything. They're just gonna show up wherever.
They have to get a permit from the township and they can go anywhere in the right of way. Like along the roadways, like where you would see utility
Where
utility
your
poles.
Comcast is, where
Yeah.
your,
Where
Your
the
telephone, where your telephone
Right.
wires are, correct,
To the extent that they are located in the public right
in the
of way.
public right of way.
Okay.
And
So-
Andy, can you explain that, that we can't actually deny that permit on some bases except for what you're saying? Or just clarify on what basis you could even deny such a request?
Correct. If they're able to demonstrate that they're in compliance with all of the FCC regulations and all of the requirements that are in the state act, then
Which are listed out in the
which are-
ordinance,
which are
all the
li-
things
which
that
are
they have to
listed-
meet
which are
to
listed
demonstrate.
in the ordinance, which mirrors the state act, then the township is required to issue the permit.
now we can control small cell towers that aren't in
Correct.
right of way. Like we can have a permit process and we can have ordinance the same way they can go that aren't in the right of way. But if it's this specific ordinance is for the right of way, it's already allowed, and they're already allowed by the state. What we're doing is enacting our own ordinance saying, okay, we know they're allowed, but here, we're gonna put some more controls around.
Okay. So maybe like again, transparency wise, so what does that mean? Like, where are they going?
Well,
You don't know?
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't
We
have.
won't know until somebody applies for a permit.
It's been denied, right? So it's
Okay.
not like we're fielding applications left and right, right? And Mike, if you want to speak to that, but my understanding is that we've had one application and it didn't meet the requirements,
Okay,
or it was deficient.
It was
in some
deficient.
ways, and so it was denied,
okay,
right? So it's not like this is the welcome wagon, let's go 5G and we'd like them everywhere.
We
right?
won't know where they're going until somebody applies for a permit, put them there.
Well, then you will know after they apply for the permit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the residents will be notified of where they're going. So when you're saying utility poles, like you just mentioned with your Comcast and those types of things, so it won't end up on a street lamp in front of my house?
Could end up on a street lamp.
Okay, thank you. So it's not, again, transparency. You're saying it's going on a utility pole. your
I was
cable
giving
company.
an example.
Yeah,
It's a bad
semantics.
I just want to finish up. I'm sorry. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And for what it's worth, that you can always advocate for yourself or your interests at the state or federal level. And I would encourage you to where it's relevant.
Judith Patitucci, 101 East Wissahickon Avenue, Flowertown, Pennsylvania. I've lived here for 38 years, okay? I live near the ball field, I just told you. My neighbor it's an elongated block, 35 and 101. I do have one of those green poles in front of my house. I also remember very specifically when they wanted to put the sprockets up at the country club for the wireless for the cell tower. I remember specifically that there were some times in the beginning that we did get some kind of a reminder within 500 feet of the cell tower that they were going to add these sprockets and add antennas. Then eventually the letter didn't come. I remember Rob Dunlap did not have the letter come to our house, so we were 500 feet away. It wasn't so much that the letter didn't even come. It was that when I would go to the meetings and I would ask the presenter, because you're putting the wireless tower, are you going to put up more pipes, transformers, or wires? Oh, no, just the antenna, everything's there. Well, I come home from a nursing job. My husband was out of town many times and I was alone, and they came in with a Sunesis, SUNESYS wire that went and connected all the power to the cell tower from my backyard. Then one time I saw that there were things all over my backyard, just stuff. And I didn't have any notice and I didn't appreciate it. And my neighbor that was there before, the new neighbor, which is a fabulous neighbor, did some things where they went too close to my property line, and I contacted a local attorney because they put a big gable into the wiring where the Sunesis thing is illegally, because they had raised the wires at one time, and then they raised them again illegally and used my property when I wasn't home. So I have to say, please be mindful that 35 and 101 are very close. We have a lot of kids, a lot of traffic from the ball field, a lot of people that were even coming from the swim club to go to swim team, coming up through. So it's a very big problem, because I'm not going to take it kindly. If I don't mind helping the township, I'm the only one with a driveway where you can get through and help with the trees, so the kids are going to be safe with all these deer, because it's not funny anymore. I see deer giving birth in my yard, and that's okay with me. But I want to make sure everybody's safe. I want to make sure the board's safe, the police are safe, and the kids are safe. And that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
So on that note, like, before you vote on this, can you maybe come together and think about, like, are there even further restrictions you can make so that these towers are not going to go certain places? Like, can you try to think outside the box and make sure residents aren't going to show up with cell towers outside their house when they had no idea that it's going to happen? Like, how are you going to protect us and our families from harmful effects of the cell phone towers or the schools? And kids are going to be in school all day and have a cell phone tower right there. That's not okay. So, like, is there a way that you can further restrict to keep people safe?
Well, we can go outside the box. We can't go outside the law.
I'm not asking you to break
Where-
the law.
where-
I
where
never
they go in
suggested
the
you
right of
breaking the
way.
law in any way.
But that's, we're saying the same thing. If the state law supersedes where we can deny using the public right of way. Again, it's just a public right of way. It's not private property or any kind of property that has to follow existing zoning code.
And Eddie, just to define, the public right of way are the roads that are state roads and local roads, or?
State roads, county roads.
So any
township
road,
roads.
any road in our township, where these things go is mandated by the state.
Right.
Okay.
I have a light outside my house just like you, John. I mean, I
And
wouldn't want to see it there.
But we can control where they go on private property, school district property, because you'll have to issue a permit, we can approve it tonight, as long as it's within the,
That's correct. There's a article in the zoning ordinance today devoted entirely to that regulation, I guess, which is not for you tonight, but it's existing.
And to answer your question, if there is a way to further regulate that we determine, we can always revisit this. We amend ordinances all the time. If there's information we come about that we can do so. At this point, we don't know of any that can say, we don't, on this block and this right away, we just want to say, no, none here.
And
That's just not following state law, unfortunately.
And also to directly ask whether any of us had asked that. I think I have directly asked that of both our manager and our attorney, our solicitor here, who can speak to what's within the legal limit. And there is an area that's complicated by just the general concept of land use law, right? Andy, could you speak a little bit to that as well? That it's not as straightforward as we haven't thought creatively, that there are legal limitations.
Yeah, I guess it's all, we've sort of mentioned this already, but, this has been determined to be a legitimate use of land and that's been on state level. And so it has to be provided for somewhere in the township. And frankly, every municipality has to provide for these types of uses. There's not a township or borough in the Commonwealth that can say no wireless facilities in our municipality, period. That would be a violation of the law. So it's something that has to be provided for. I think this board and every other board and other municipalities just have to do the best that they can to regulate it within the parameters that they're given to regulate it.
So there's a law that says you have to allow cell phone towers in your township?
There's a law that says it's a legitimate use that has to be provided for, yes.
So I know people that have a big tower and they get paid a lot of money to have that on their property. So where's the transparency in that? Who's getting paid
So-
to have the
that's
cell
private
towers?
property
Right.
situation. So as a private property owner,
Yeah,
depending on if it met the zoning code, it's like the tower in Windward. That's owned by someone.
Mhm.
Cell towers can write a long-term lease and it goes to the property.
Right.
And that's, if your properties, if you own property that can be done on you, and it fits the zoning requirements, and they file a permit, and it's approved, and it goes to zoning here, then that's what you can do.
So there's no money that transpires from having the cell phone towers, right?
For the
now.
property owner, it could be. The township has nothing to do with that, other than,
That's what,
Are you asking specifically about the small cell
yeah,
in the
Yes.
public right of way?
Yeah.
We're allowed to impose a permit fee and we're allowed to impose a right of way management fee.
okay.
And the ordinance
It's like
provides.
$270 or something
Yeah, it's-
annually.
It's
It's minimal.
it's not gonna balance the budget.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any kind of like, yeah, okay. Well, I just hope that like when this, if this is gonna happen or whatever, that there are like as many restrictions as possible and that the residents are aware of where these are gonna they're gonna pop up and, I don't know. I think it stinks.
Or get some clarification.
Yeah.
Like, so the process would be, right, it's not like we knew where there are no existing, there's no existing applications, right? So the application came in and it was approved. How would, is there a process in place that would notify people in a certain area around that? How's that communicated?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's just it's like a building permit, right? If you were to pull a building permit, you know, to put a roof on your house, your neighbor wouldn't get noticed that you're putting the roof on.
That's a little different though, like a roof.
Is there anything stopping us from doing
Versus-
that, given that it is public?
Yeah, I
Public
guess the
right of way.
question is.
Yeah.
To what length do you want people to be notified?
Well, it's a health
Because
concern for a lot of people. So I mean, if you were gonna put stuff in my water and not tell me, and I found out later that you were putting some stuff in my water, I'd be really, I would be livid and probably sue. And if you were gonna go and put a tower in front of my house and not tell me,
well, we're not putting anything there.
but I'm just saying, like, if that happens and there's no transparency, it's gonna end up being a real problem for a lot of people, I'm sure. And I'm
think-
just trying to,
I think the one issue is that even with notification, there's not much recourse given the current state law. So like really to preclude this from spiraling,
Mm.
like it needs to be addressed at the state level to curtail the law, to allow municipalities more capacity to control how these things are dropped into our neighborhoods. And right now, we don't possess that power.
well, I guess that's where we come together as a township and with you guys who are our commissioners, like to come together and fight for our township, because that's what we voted you all in for. And that's why I'm here to kind of say, like, I hope that you guys will do that for us. Yeah.
And I think our state representatives, our state senator, that's a lot more if you haven't.
So just brief history, right? And, so in 2018, the Federal Communications Commission issued an order that says these things are legal, they're desirable, that the federal government wanted them to go in to advance public welfare.
Mhm.
The state was then going to pass a law that basically usurped all local regulatory ability, right? Like we were going to be cut out 100%. The township is a member of the Pennsylvania Municipal League. It's basically a lobbying group of cities, municipalities that try and work through these issues and try and get the best legislation that we can out of it.
Mm.
The Pennsylvania Municipal League lobbied and worked with the state legislature, and this is the best law that we could get out of this, which is Act 50 of 2021. That allows us to have some oversight within reason, but it doesn't allow us to deny them altogether. So those efforts were made. They came up against a very powerful group in the telecommunications industry.
Mhm.
And this is as far as the state would go at that time. So those efforts were made.
Yeah.
And that got us to where we are today. It's not perfect, but it's better than where we would have been had that effort not been made.
I'm just thinking, ahead and like when this obviously is gonna get approved or whatever, to try and make it in places that are not close to families, not close to schools, if you can put any restrictions in the permits or whatever it is that you can, I ask that you please consider that. And if you need help with anything, as far as reaching out to people, I'm happy to help in any way. I just, I feel strongly about things that affect people's health, And again, the other thing is, I really feel like letters to community, like the whole township, are helpful in this day and age, because people are like backing off of social media and they're not going on their websites as much. I mean, I know people go to the library, but it's really nice to get a letter from the township saying this is what's going on too. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
I had one more
Good.
thing to follow up with. So to circle back around to the removal of poles and the permission that you're granted to remove poles in the certain situations. And I really hope you consider taking that language out of the ordinance where it says you can take them out for like public health public health and safety, because it's just not a true statement.
Thank you. All right, we will now take testimony from the board. If anyone has any? We've covered it. All right. Any other testimony from the audience? Okay, thank you. Therefore, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing related to the ordinance amending chapter 114 zoning to regulate the placement of small cell wireless communication facilities in Springfield Township and to reconvene the business meeting. That is my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Question, I don't think we need questions or comments. Close the meeting. Therefore, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Okay, we will now go to Chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one motion tonight. It's regarding ordinance 981, small cell wireless communication facilities. I move the Board of Commissioners enact ordinance number 981, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Springfield, chapter 114 zoning by adding a new article 14B entitled Small Wireless Facilities to regulate the placement of small wireless communication facilities in Springfield Township. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Questions or comments?
I would just comment, it sounds like in the future, we may have some amendments related to insurance, historic commission, and if it's something we should discuss in the future, if there's a notification that seems reasonable when a small cell facility goes up, we can discuss if that is necessary and therefore to what extent out of that.
Mike, are there any other examples, other than the legally required notification we do, say 500 feet for zoning? I know we tend to over deliver on those requirements. Is there another example of any kind of like permit or something that we do give notice as a courtesy?
Subdivision and land development applications and appearance before the
Planning Commission, we do 500 feet
No,
in that too?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think 500 feet here, but maybe we consider if it's right in front of someone's house. Just the one house with the immediate
With it maybe all
two neighbors.
touching parcels or something.
Yeah, so very, very limited, but
on each.
the heads up, there might be something involved. Just to consider.
And maybe that could apply for, even a private cellular tower down the line. I don't know. This is just spitballing here based on this discussion.
For what?
Like if any cellular tower, whether it's,
So that would
Right,
normally
that-
follow a zoning procedure and they
So,
would
right,
get
that would
notice
be
of
the-
that.
so yeah, maybe just the touching parcels. But again, I think we can talk it out if we need.
I mean, just because these are small, doesn't mean they don't have reach. So
That.
it's not like you're gonna find a whole bunch, clustered. So, I mean, in terms of the volume, like how many are we gonna see? You could have put these things up for the last few years and we haven't had any. We got one application and who knows if they're coming back. So it's not gonna be
I'm
like,
sure they'll be back.
yes, but it's not gonna, whatever it is, it's not gonna be a big lift.
Good notice.
Yeah,
I think I think one concern is that we're gonna notify everybody, it's a notification coming from township, but we're not really empowered to do anything. to
Yeah.
change it.
We could
And I
just
think-
say it's a
I think-
courtesy.
I think it can be a courtesy, but probably the stronger and more important thing would be to alert people to the existing laws and where to try to get them
Yeah.
addressed or changed.
Or you
Um,
could have the installer just,
Right out of my mouth. I was gonna
right,
think.
just provide, hey,
Can we-
install, send a letter to the house that's gonna be in front of, hey, you might see us working on your pole, you know.
Can we mandate that the installer needs to provide this?
I think if you want to amend the ordinance in the future to require that, you probably can do that.
That would have to be. in the ordinance. Okay, something to think about. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Does Commissioner Cobb have an item?
Yes, yeah, that's true.
You have it?
Handle that.
Do you have the document?
I do.
Okay. All right, we'll go to the chairwoman of the Parks and Recreational Resource, Committee, Commissioner Retzenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. President. This month I have no report.
Thank you, Commissioner
That's
Retzenbaum.
my report.
Then we will go to the chairman of the Environmental Resources Committee, Commissioner May.
Should I begin with the fiscal affairs?
Yes.
All right. I'll begin with Mr. Cobb's report. I first move that the Board of Commissioners approve the July check reconciliation in the amount of $785,087.74, and the August bill listing in the amount of $947,921.78. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
Next, regarding the zoning hearing board agenda, the Springfield Township Zoning Hearing Board will meet on Monday, August 25th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Springfield Township Building to receive testimony on the following application. We have case number 25-16. This is the application of J34 Development LLC, equitable owner of 4 separate parcels. The properties are currently in use as a vacant barber shop, vacant dry cleaner, unimproved parcel, and the canine training facility. The applicant seeks approval to consolidate the 4 parcels and construct a 4-story building that will include multiple dwelling units and other permitted uses within the B1 business district. The properties are zoned within the B residential district, and the B1 business district of Ward 5 of Springfield Township. Copies of the application packets are available for review in the Community Development Office during normal business hours located at 1510 Paper Mill Road, Winmore, PA, or on our website at springfieldmontco.org. Any questions you may have can be addressed by contacting the zoning department at 215-836-7600, extension 1114. That concludes that report.
Thank you, Mr. May. Go on.
And then I will move on to the report for the Environmental Resources Committee. First, I'd like to announce the recycling report during the month of July. Springfield Township residents recycled 161.4 tons of material with a household participation rate of 66.6%. The net cost for the month was $21,652.60. And then the Board of Commissioners would also like to encourage all residents to practice grass cycling. Grass cycling is the practice of leaving grass clippings on one's lawn to naturally decompose and add nutrients. Grass is 80% or more water and has high nitrogen content. Grass clippings break down easily and are returned to the soil within 1 or 2 weeks. The clippings act as a fertilizer supplement and mulch for lawns. Grass cycling also reduces the use of plastic bags for disposal and reduces the amount of refuse that must be disposed of by the township at the present cost of $82.75 per ton. So there's quite a few benefits to just not bagging your grass. And, we'll be entering the fall as well, where everybody is concerned with leaves. Good way to do that there is mulching up your leaves, and we're spreading it out in woods. So whatever we can do to reduce the waste, was a environmental benefit as well as a cost benefit. That can be better.
Thank you, Commissioner May. And also, the people should know the grass clippings don't go with the yard waste. Doesn't play nice. So it's even a bigger benefit to keep it in mulching. All right, great. Thank you. I just want to make one note, the item agenda on the current agenda number 5, Friends of Mermaid Park. At the request of the group, we're just tabling that item until next. Okay, now we will go to the chairwoman of the Public Works and Facilities Committee, Commissioner McNamara.
Thank you. This evening, there are 4 motions. The first is resolution number 1672 regarding the PennDOT winter maintenance agreement. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the appropriate township officials to execute an agreement with PennDOT, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for Springfield Township to provide winter maintenance on specified state highways within Springfield Township. Term of the agreement is 5 years with 5 additional 1-year renewals. The base rate for the first year of the agreement is $74,033.27. It increases to $80,135.99 in the final year, the initial 5-year. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
Okay, next, regarding the Black Horse Inn, I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the execution of a lease extension and amendment with Sandra Worthington PC, trading as Worthington Law, the occupancy of office space at the Black Horse Inn, 1432 Bethlehem Pike in Flourtown. The term of the lease shall be December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2026, during which period the base rent shall be $950 per month. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
Next, I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the township manager to execute a multiple listing agreement with Dan Hellwig Incorporated to market and secure tenants for Office Suite F at the Black Horse Inn, 1432 Bethlehem Pike in Flourtown. Pursuant to the terms of the agreement, Dan Hellwig Realtors shall serve as the township's broker and agent, and shall receive compensation during the term of the agreement in an amount equal to 1 month's rent, which shall be shared with any cooperating broker pursuant to the terms of the agreement. The agreement shall expire December 31st, 2025. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. That's AYE. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote.
Regarding Flourtown Country Club, I move that we table any action this evening on the Flourtown Country Club lease extension in order to thoroughly respond to environmental concerns raised on Monday evening by several township residents. Just to note, between Monday evening's meeting and today, FCC has been prompt and receptive to all of our questions. We just need a little bit more time to organize that information they provided, so we can effectively communicate it to residents. That's my
Okay.
motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote. Michael?
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner McNamara. We'll now go to the Chairman of the Cultural Resource Committee, Commissioner Morris.
Thank you. I have no report for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. The board is once again open to receiving public comment. We have no more people of the public. Couple online. Thank you for being here. At this time, I will accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a 6-0 vote. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Here.